to do a quick little demo on how to make a box like this. Now you can make pretty much anything you want. The idea behind this is to A, get used to the software, the Onshape, and then B, to look at how we would construct different items using the laser cutter, since we're basically going to be making 2D cuts and we're going to be assembling the pieces into a shape. So in this case you can see we have side 1 and side 2, and we cut little pockets in one side and then we cut little tabs in the other, and then they're interlock, and then we're able to make the part. And along with the same thing with the bottom, so we have a little bottom in there that is it has tabs as well that go insert into these different holes. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So when we go ahead and we're going to go ahead and open up Onshape, we're going to start by clicking Create Document, and I might just do like something like Sample Box, something like that, and then we're going to create. All right, once we do that, it's going to take us into the Part Studio, is what we call it. And we have our 3 principal planes, so we're going to go ahead and start by putting a sketch on the top plane. So I'm going to go ahead and click Sketch up here, so we'll click Sketch from the menu, and then we're going to have to choose a plane. So I'm going to choose the top plane, and now you can see we have Sketch 1 on the top plane. So I'm going to click on the little cube here to rotate, and that will allow us to look directly at the top plane. And we're going to start by using our drawing tools to create each of the sides. Now, since side 1 and side 2, there's only 2 sides to the, or there's 4 sides, but we can reuse the sides. So in other words, I'll have 2 side 1s, I'll have 2 side 2s. That will make up the box. So to do this, I'm going to start by drawing some rectangles. So I'll start here with a corner rectangle. I'm going to click here on the origin, move down, and click again. And then you'll see that it is highlighted here. So for me to put in a dimension. So if I go ahead and I put in that maybe this is going to be 3.5, or actually let's make it 3. Nice even number there, 3. And then it switches over to the other measurement. I can put in 4.5. All right, so let's say that, so now it's ready basically for me to continue drawing rectangles, but I'm gonna hit Escape here to get out of that tool. And let's say that for some reason when you made it, you clicked out of it and you didn't have, it didn't give you the option to put in dimensions. So you can click here on the dimension tool, and I can just click on the line, move over, click again to place the dimension, and I can type in, say, 4.5 and hit enter. And I'll do the same thing for the top. So there's 2 different ways. You can put the dimensions in when you draw it, but in case you click out of it, you can always use the dimension tool. So I'll need to escape out of that tool, so I'm going to hit Escape on the keyboard, and I'm going to go ahead and draw another rectangle. And this time I'm just going to kind of like make this even. So I didn't click on anything, but I just hovered over this point, move to the right, and I'm going to click and place it again. All right, and same thing, I'm going to make this one 3. And I'm going to make this one 4.5. All right, so now I have these 2 boxes, and then finally we'll go ahead just somewhere over here, we'll create what the bottom. So if the inside of the box is 3, let's see here, we'll start with 3. I think that's going to be 3 by 3. Maybe not. So one of these is going to have to be a little bit bigger, so in order to get 3 by 3 on the inside. All right, so we'll deal with that here in a second. But for right now, we're going to start putting the tabs. We can always make edits to these measurements. So right now, I'm going to start by putting some points in place. All right, and so I'm going to say like on this part, it's going to have 2 tabs on each side, and then on this part, it's going to have 2 notches on each side. Okay, so we'll use the point tool, and I'm going to just hover over this line and maybe come down a little bit. I'll place 1, come down a little bit more, place another. And then I want these to be in line with each other, so I'm going to go hover over this point, go straight across, click there, and then I'll hover over this one, go straight across, click there. Okay? All right, now I'm going to hit Escape, and we're going to use the Dimension tool again, so D on your keyboard or Dimension, and I'm going to say from this line, so here, and then you'll see it wants to put a dimension on that line, but if I do another click and I'll say from here to here, it changes, and now it gives me that dimension. So I'm going to say 1.5. And then we're going to do the same thing from the bottom. So I'm going to say from here to here, and then 1.5. All right, and you'll notice that these also moved up because they're locked in line with the other points. Now, if for some reason you didn't lock those in, you can do the same thing. You can click here to here, 1.5, right, and so on and so forth. So we're going to do that same thing with the next one. So I'm going to go ahead and put point. And since my points are in line with each other here, I can make these in line with each other and they will be all lined up as well. Or if I prefer not to, I can just make sure that I'm not in line with this one, go up a little bit, put one there, and then do another one, say here and here, make sure that's in line. Okay, hit Escape, and we're going to use the Dimension tool again. So dimension from here to here. It's going to be 1.5. And from here to here, 1.5. All right, so now all of my points are now 1.5 down. The last one that I have is my bottom piece. And again, we're going to use the point tool. And I'm going to put a point, and you'll see it highlights the middle of the line. So we're just going to put a point right on the middle of each of these. I don't even need to put dimensions, just right on the middle of that there. Okay, very good. So those should all be right in the middle of those lines. All right, so I'm going to hit escape to get out of the point tool. Now that we have all of our points in, I said we needed to go back and kind of edit these dimensions a little bit here. So I'm going to take this first dimension, I'm going to double click on the 3, and we're going to change this one to 2.5. Okay, and I'm only really going to mess with the widths of these. I'm going to leave this one at 3, and I'm going to go ahead and change both of these to 2.5. Okay, and the reason we're doing this is because the plywood that we're using is going to be 1/4 inch thick. So even though the box itself on the outside is going to be 3, because there's thickness on either side, the middle ones have to be 2.5. So that's going to give us a 2.5 square on the inside of the box. All right, so I'm going to leave it at that. All right, so I'm going to zoom out here a little bit with the roller on the mouse and kind of zoom in on this first one right here. I'm going to switch our rectangle over to center point rectangle, and we're going to use these points that we created, and I'm going to click here and just kind of move up, and then I'm going to click again, and it's going to give me the option to dimension. So the width of these is going to be 0.5, hit enter, and then the tab itself is going to be 1.02. All right, so the tab is actually going to be 1.02, and on this one the notch is going to be 1 inch. So it's actually going to we're going to have to kind of force this thing together a little bit here, but we're going to do these same little squares on each of these. So again, you can see that if I go over and here, I'll hit escape, center point rectangle, I'm going to click on the point. If I go over and line up with this one, you'll see that it's already 0.5. Okay, so now all I have to do is just move over my mouse over this one and just type in 1.02. Okay, but all of these boxes, so you can draw rectangles on all of these, it's going to be 1.02 for the length, 0.5 for the width for this particular part here. So 0.5, 1.02. All right, and I'll do the same thing here. So I'll just click 0.5, 1.02. There we go. All right, this part is pretty close to being done. So I'm going to press and hold the roller, and I can move everything over to the right. And I'm going to continue drawing center point rectangle. So this one is going to be 0.5, but it's going to be 1 this time. Okay, and this one is going to be same thing, 0.5, 1 on all 4 of these. If it turns red on you, just delete the, just hit escape, delete the rectangle, and just draw a smaller one, making sure that you're not snapping to any other marks. Okay, so I'll just draw real small so it doesn't snap to anything. All right, mine did snap to 0.5, so I'll go to this one and put in 1. Sometimes it can get over dimensioned. And then finally on this bottom one here, we're going to do the same thing, or on the bottom piece. This is the one you really have to watch, making sure that you don't snap to any of those. So I'm going to make sure that all my points are not touching anything else. I'm just going to snap to anything else. This one's going to be 0.5, 1.02. All right, same with this one. Now this time the 0.5 is sideways, right? So it's going to be 0.5 this way and 1.02 that way. All right, same thing with all of these. Okay. All right, so we have pretty much everything that we need right here. We are all done. We're drawing our tabs and notches. And now we're going to hit the, and we got everything dimensioned correctly. So remember, this one's going to give us the tabs, this one's going to give us the notches, and then this one also has tabs. So tabs are 1.02, notches are 1. All right, so we're going to hit check. And now we're going to use a 3D tool called the extrude tool. So we're going to click here on extrude. All right, and then to make this a little bit easier to see, I'm going to click the corner, top corner of the cube. So I'm going to click there and you'll see it kind of rotates a little bit. Now I'm going to, actually I'm going to go to the other side, so I'm going to right click and hold and use the other side of the cube. All right, so this one has our tabs. So because this one has tabs, I want to choose the main body there, and then I also want to choose each one of the rectangles, and we're going to click on those, and you're going to see it's going to add material to those. Okay, so click and click, click and click. If you need to rotate, you can right click and hold and rotate. Okay, and then if you need to pan, you can press the roller and move it. All right, so I've got that one. Okay, you can see that everything's highlighted there. We're going to change this depth to 0.25 and hit enter, and now you can see that's going to be the piece of plywood that we're going to cut out. Now I don't have to, I can hit check if I wanted to, and we could do more extrusions, or I can just add all of these as part of the same extrusion. So this time I'm going to click on this one, and remember this one has the notches, so that one's done. All I need is the main body, and then this one I get all of it. So I want the tab on it. So we're going to make sure that we select all the rectangles until it's all the same color. There we go. So that looks good. So check. All right, so now I have my pieces. The last thing we need to do is we need to put a little hole on both of these so that we can put the tabs through. And then we're also going to put a little bit of text on there. So we'll do that all in the same sketch. So we're going to start a new sketch. So I'm going to click Sketch. I'm going to click on the face of this. So I want to draw on the face of that. And then I'm going to go ahead and look at it from the top view again. So we'll click on the cube, and I'm going to just kind of move that to the front. So press and hold to move this. Press and hold the roller to move that around. All right, so next thing I'm going to do is let's start by putting a point. So I'm going to go down here, hover over until I find the middle. All right, and then I'm going to go straight up just a little bit. That looks good. That's the middle of that line. Now, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go to the middle here. I'm going to go up a little bit. I do not want to catch that line. So I'm going to come down, click. That's good enough. And then I'm going to go to the middle of this one, go up just a little bit, click. All right, now we're going to put dimensions on that. So again, we're going to go to the dimension tool, or D on your keyboard. And I'm going to go from the line to the dot. And yeah, I'm going to make that, let's go 0.5. And again, line to the dot, 0.5. Okay? And we're going to use those again to do center point rectangles. Okay, since our notches, or our tabs here are 1.02, we want these to be 1. Okay, and it's 1/4 inch material, so I'm going to use a center point rectangle. I'm going to click here, and I'm going to make this 1 point, or actually just 1, enter, and then it's going to be 0.27. Okay, and same thing on this one. Okay, we're going to go 0.27, and then on this side it's going to be 1. All right. Okay, so I've got those in, and now we're going to put some text on here. So I'm going to click here on text, and I'm going to just draw a little box that goes like this, and then it pops up. So I'm going to call this side 1. I'm going to hit enter. All right, that's way too big, but that's okay. We're going to do text again, and I'm going to go from here to here, and I'll put in side 2. Check. Way too big. That's okay. We're going to use the dimension tool. So I'm going to click dimension. I'm going to choose just the top line. You can only dimension either the top or the side, so it makes more sense for us to make sure it fits left to right. So let's make this, we know that that whole side there is 2.5. So let's make this 2.25. All right, that fits pretty good. And I'll do the same thing with this one. So 2.25, that fits there. We can make this one maybe a little bit bigger if we wanted to. But I'm going to hit escape, and I'm just going to grab that and kind of move it, move the text, grab the dot in the corner, move the text until you think it's centered. Good enough. All right, there it is. All right, so when you have your text in, we're going to go ahead and hit check, and then you'll see we've got side 1, side 2, and we're going to do the same thing. This time we're going to use extrude again, and we're going to choose only the, so again, let's look here at the top corner. I only want to get the boxes, so I don't want to get the whole face. I just want to click inside of this box, so only the box highlights, click, and you'll see it wants to come up. All right, but that's not going to be right. We're going to fix that though. So again, over here I can choose that one. I'm going to choose this one. It's going to go up. And then over here, we're going to fix it. We're going to hit remove. So I'm going to hit remove. And then you're going to see here that it says merge scope. It wants to know what parts do you want to cut through. I'm going to just click this merge with all. Okay, and now we've got a hole in both of those. So we can hit check. All right, now we've got our holes. But our sketch went away, so we can't see our text anymore. So I'm going to go over here to the sketch. I'm going to turn the eyeball on. And then now we've got our text there that we can see. So this time we're going to do the same thing. We're going to hit extrude. We're going to go ahead and select remove again. And instead of getting, you see how it lets me choose the whole text? I don't want that. I want to do individual letters. So I'm going to zoom in into where I only get the 2. And then I'm going to zoom in to where I only get the E and the D. Okay. And the I. I'll have to get the top of the I. Okay, so it's easier if you kind of zoom in on that, right? And then we'll do that. Now, I know that you may not want to cut out the text, but that's okay. We just need the lines. Okay, so it doesn't actually matter if you're cutting it out or not. We can choose to say, like, shade this in on the laser cutter, or we could, you know, do something different. But all I need is the outline of those. I could trace the outline, I could cut it, I could shade it in, either way. All right, so once you got all that done, you should hit it should show up like that. So let me go to extrude 3. Mine didn't show up here, so I'm going to double click on that, and I didn't hit merge with all. So I needed to hit merge with all, and then check. All right. Okay. So the last thing we need to do here before we take this over to a drawing sheet is we need to edit our extrusion here. So the last extrusion that we did cut through the letters. And if you notice that I've got this little part here inside of the D that's floating, this little part inside of the E that's floating, and that's not going to work out well. So we're just going to double click on extrude 3, and instead of going a depth of 1 inch, we're going to make it go only 0.1 inches. Okay, so it should be removing only 0.1 inch. Hit check, and then you'll see that it just kind of like sunk it down in there a little bit, but these parts are still attached. So now you'll also notice that we only have 3 parts. Before, when I did that, we had a whole bunch of parts. And so anyway, we should only have 3 parts, and this is ready to go to the drawing sheet. So here we go. So in order to go to the drawing sheet, we're going to go down here to Insert New Tab. We're going to click here on Create Drawing, and we're going to choose ANSI B. So I'll hit OK. All right. The first thing it's going to do is ask us to populate this with parts. So I'm going to clear those out. I just need to click X, and then I need to go over here and click X. All right, and we need to get rid of all this mess on the drawing sheet. I don't need all this stuff. So I'm going to click down here in the bottom right corner. I'm going to hover over it, hold this way, and drag up, and let go, and then I'm going to hit delete. Okay, and get rid of it all. Then we're going to go to this insert view. All right, I'm going to click insert, and then we're going to go to part 1. Part 1, I'm going to need to look at the top view because that's the view that we're going to be cutting, and we're going to make sure that it's set to 1:1. So this is that's what we want to cut out, just like that. All right. So 1:1 just means it's full size. So once you do that, you'll see it wants to place other views. Just hit escape, and we're good there. So I'm going to right click on this, and I'm going to copy, because we want 2 of those, right? So copy, and then Control V to paste, and you're going to see it's going to add another side 1. So we can grab this one, and we're going to nest these really, really close together, because this is how they're going to cut out on the machine. Okay, then we're going to take side 2. So I'm going to go up here to the little arrow, Insert View, and this time we're going to hit Insert again. We're going to do part 2. Part 2, again, I'm going to change this to the top view, just so that I can see the side 2. Okay, it looks like those 2 are going to fit nicely, right? And then we're going to put that right there, nice and close. Okay, we're going to hit Escape, and then we're going to right-click on that, copy, and then we can also right-click, paste. Okay, then we're going to put another side 2 in there, so we get that one nice and close as well. All right, and then finally we have our the bottom piece. So we're going to go to Insert View, and we're going to change Insert, and we're going to go here to Part 3. Again, top view, 1:1, and that barely fits in right there, but that's where it's going to go. It's better to keep it all in a line if you can. We're trying to like maximize the material, so minimize the waste that we're cutting out of the plywood. All right, so we have everything that we need right there. That's it. So now we can take this over to the laser cutter, and we can put it on the machine. So we're going to go here where it says Drawing 2, or you might say Drawing 1. We're going to take this drawing sheet, we're going to right-click on this, and we're going to export. Okay, now there's one very important thing you have to do here. So you're going to make sure that this is a DXF. Okay, doesn't matter about the version and all that, just leave all that alone, but make sure it says DXF. Okay, go ahead and change this to your name, so it'll be like your name box, right? And then finally, it says here, units, use drawing units. Well, we're doing this in inches, and the machine cuts in millimeters. So we're going to change this to millimeters so that when we put it into the machine software, it comes out right. And then we're going to go ahead and hit export. Okay, so your name box is being prepared for export. So we are done now in Onshape. So now we're going to move over to another software called Lightburn. Okay, and so you can kind of see the little down here on the bottom, Lightburn. You'll be able to find that on your desktop. Okay, and you're going to open up Lightburn. Okay, when you open up Lightburn, you're going to go to File, and this is the easy part here. You're going to go to File, and it's going to be Open. Or actually, let's import. Let's go to File, Import, and then there's on your downloads you should see your box. So I'm going to hit Open. All right, so there it is, and you can see everything's kind of highlighted right now. But I'm going to go ahead and click out here, and we need to assign what's going to cut what. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is you see it gave us a layer, and this is layer C00, and that's really, it doesn't really matter what the layers are called, but you can see all the different layers here at the bottom in different colors, and we're going to use some of those. So right now layer 1 says that it's a line, so this is going to be just like it's going to trace a line, and then it says speed and power. So we're going to double click on this, and we're going to change the power to let's make it 40. Let's make it 30%. And we're going to change max power to 30 and min power to 30, and that way it cuts at 30. And then for the speed, we're going to change this to 15. So we're cutting through 1/4 inch plywood, so it needs to go a little bit slow at about 30% power. Now, you know what, let's change it to 40. Might as well. 40% power. Okay, good. All right, so 40% power, 15 millimeters per second. And I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to leave this online, and then we are going to, basically right now if we left it, it would cut everything out completely through the wood. Okay, but we don't want that. Everything's good except for our text. So what I'm going to do here for the text is I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to highlight this, and you'll see it highlights, all right? And then I'm going to hold Control, and I'm going to highlight all of the text, all right? And you'll see all of them should be, you know, those dotted lines right now. Also hold Control, highlight, hold Control, highlight. All right, good. So now that those are done, those are highlighted, I'm going to go down here, I'm going to add another layer. So this is just going to be a different, so think of it as a different kind of cut. So I'm going to click on that, all right? And now you see those turn blue, and I'm going to make these fill, meaning that instead of cutting through, it's actually just going to like burn it in. It's going to like fill that in like a crayon. It's going to color it in instead of cutting it out. Okay, so so that'll just burn it in. All right, we're going to leave this. We're going to change this to fill. Okay, and then for the speeds, we're going to leave it at 20%, but we're going to go fast on this one. So we're going to go like 400 or 500. So let's do 450. We're right in the middle. Okay, so 450 fill, 20% power. Okay. All right, so now it's going to go and it's going to fill that in. Okay, so we're basically ready. Everything's done. All we're going to do now is we're going to highlight the whole thing. So you should have two layers, one at 15 and 40. That's a line. It's going to cut. And the other one's going to fill at 450 and 20. You're going to highlight everything. And then you're going to go right down here to save. There we go. Sorry, I was on material library. You need to be on laser. You're going to go here to, so highlight everything. Click here on Save RD File, and we're going to save that on a flash drive to take to the machine. And that's it.